Welcome back to the second developer commentary video. So this is a follow-up on the previous one, obviously, and I have a lot to talk about today. So I'll try to be fast and brief, but I really got a lot of things I want to say, so let's hope I can keep this short. Also, I will split this video into some segments and just put the segment names and some timestamps maybe on the screen. So it will be easier to pick which part of the video we'll talk about what kind of thing. So firstly, I'll talk about some general stuff, concepts, and then I'll jump into some UI and widgets that I'm working on, and then into the abilities. Then after that, some stuff about stats and loot, and then about the level generation and how the levels will be built, how I'm planning them to be built, and then some gameplay design stuff, just generic what's the gameplay loop, how stuff gonna function, and then I'll close it out with some goals that I've set as my next things to work on. So yeah, I'll start with the general stuff. Really basic stuff. I increased the camera range, distance rather, and I increased also the fog start distance, so it's not that claustrophobic, especially with the more distant camera. But the camera distance will be really set by it's gonna really be decided by the character and how it's gonna look, how big it's gonna be, and the scale, how it feels right. And so talking about the character, I started doing a character concept art kind of thing, sketch. Now, I'm not a concept artist, so this is gonna be terrible. I'm sorry, but it's good enough for now. So it's a work in progress, but whoops, that's a spoiler. It's my first enemy that I'm playing. So I want this to be my character, my player character. So no making your own character, no customization, maybe some coloring or material swaps, but I want to keep the scope to, not run out on a tangent of character customization for a bunch of time. As much as I love that kind of stuff, this project, mostly I want to keep it shorter scope and at least get the other stuff done first. So player character has a sword, and I always want to include and evolve her sword into her animations. So she won't really sheath the sword, she'll always kind of have it out and use it to maybe help her spellcasting as well, and do some cool stuff with that. So that's one thing. The other thing is this red scarf I put on her. Now the long wavy part of the cloak kind of thing, I don't know if that's gonna make it in, because animating that kind of stuff to wave around, really tedious, really complicated to get it right. And I'm no animator, and I never actually animated anything like organic before. So doing that or learning how to do cloud physics, both could be really time-consuming process. So maybe I'll just drop that cape thing and just have the red scarf. The point is to kind of have her read kind of clear and see how she's like positioned in 3D space at all times, if possible. That kind of red scarf really stands out, I think, and that's gonna help her silhouette, especially from the top view. So yeah, player concept, of course, unfinished yet. And then the enemy, well, this guy is gonna be maybe called Husk, I don't know, I'm thinking about names, but it doesn't matter now. It's gonna be like a light, kind of withered piece of wood, and this dude has no arms, and it's just gonna walk towards you, and if you kill it, it's gonna blow up. And maybe he wants to blow himself up when he gets close, or maybe he'll just like slam you or do something like kick you, I don't know. I'm gonna see how I'm gonna do his attack cycles and stuff, but basically he's gonna be like kind of a strategic element. You can use him to blow up other enemies, and so you can play around with these guys and kind of be more interactive than just a walking target dummy. So I'm thinking of making it a bit more involving to fight these guys, a bit more exciting. And yeah, with that, I'll just close the concept. So those are the two things that I've really badly drawn for now. So I'll jump into UI and widgets. So for this, I'll jump into actual viewport and just maximize that. So a few things that you might notice right away. Mostly on the bottom, I have a placeholder action bar and some stuff plays around the map, but I'll touch on everything. So health bar first. I finally did it because it was the only one missing. So now I have the health bar, though it's non-functional at the moment because you can't really take damage, and there's no use for it. I mean, you can heal with that orb and it works, but you're not losing health to anything right now. But yeah, anyway, that's gonna be one of the next things I'm working on, is damage and health system and kind of player death, to kind of block that out, prototype it. But anyway, so yeah, that's my quick slot on the bottom. And I'll talk about the new spell after the UI stuff. But I want to show you I have a pause menu now, which I can navigate with keyboard, controller, or mouse. Now, it's really hard to see the focus widget on it. I'm swapping between items and stats right now with the controller. I can spam click stats or items, they don't do anything, but the abilities one leads me to a kind of work in progress abilities menu. So here on the left side, I'm gonna have all my spells, which is probably gonna be more than 7, but I didn't see a reason to put more buttons here. They're gonna be empty for now anyway. So yeah, I have those on the left side, and if I click something, I can see a description of the ability, as well as in that description some dynamic text that calculates exactly how much damage which part of the spell does. Which part of the spell does how much damage anyway. So you can see stuff in color are basically dynamic parts, and I'm kind of going to color code everything so it makes sense. Purple is going to be magic, and then if I go to charge, this scales from power, so this is like a physical kind of spell. That's orange. So whatever I decide to be the color of the 2 main attributes, these are gonna indicate that these spells scale from those specific attributes, like which one and how much. So you can see durations of how long it takes to channel the icicle and everything. These all are going to, and they already work, I mean, they already are dynamic. But anyway, so on the bottom, I can equip the currently selected thing that you see on top middle. Whatever I currently have selected and viewing the description of, I can select it to any of these slots. So if I press X on the controller right now, I put my warp there as well as the other, and I can use these X buttons below them to clear slots. So now I just place my warp here, and oops, I pressed something meanwhile in the background. But anyway, so yeah, now I have my warp there. I can put it back here. I can clear things. I'll select charge. I'm gonna put it here, like whatever. You get the point. And on the right, enhancements. That's just static text that doesn't do anything at the moment. But I'm planning to have some enhancements in the game that give like unique bonuses to certain abilities and change how they work and make them more interesting. And these enhancements will be stats, most likely, on like the best level gear. Like the best kind of items will have these bonuses, because these really have a big impact, so these are exciting. So anyway, that's my ability menu. So yeah, now I have 2 charges on my spellbar, cool. Anyway, so I got some new particle effects. So Blink has like this cute particle effect, but still not final, most likely. And yeah, I have this new spell called Charge, which is gonna be looking pretty broken right now, because if I press it, this is what I'm doing. Now the reason why this happens is I slowed it down significantly because I'm testing a lock-on system that Charge has. So to make sure I can hit a target, I charge it. I kind of have this targeting system where if it's straight in front of me when I activate it, if there's a target in front of me, I do a line trace that you can see drawn as a debug thing, and then I just really slowly follow it. But anyway, the normal speed is a lot higher, so I can just change the variable and that's it, I'm fast again. So yeah, that's my charge, and it does, as you can see, a line trace, and then whatever the line trace hits, if it's an enemy type actor, it's gonna lock onto it. Now, this is really a tight thing, so if I miss just a little bit, you can see I'm not following my target. So I might have a more generous targeting radius, which means I might have a separate hitbox on every enemy, which is quite a bit wider, and those are going to be my targeting system hitbox channels. So basically, spells that use targeting could use those thicker, more generous hitboxes. And the lag is back. Cool. I'm sorry for that. So anyway, I'll just quickly show you two things. So here, I think I mentioned this in a previous video, I keep my stats and ability stuff and variables in the save game for now. So my charge travel speed was 100, I'll put it back on 1000, because that's just how it should be. That's the default. And one more thing quickly in the player character. Just wanna untick this thing, and I'll explain just in a second what that does. So just to quickly demonstrate charge working properly, I charge to the targets. Now there's this dummy which has a really wide hitbox, so I can just target next to him and still hone onto him. So this is kind of what that generous targeting system thing would look like. So anyway, that's my charge, and then I have the icicle thing, and oh god, this lag is terrible. Every time I do a test recording, there's no problem at all, and then I do a live recording and it breaks, it lags, it's terrible. So anyway, to show you that enhancement thing, well, you can see my icicle. It's the usual icicle, shoots out an icicle, does damage. And right now it's just a placeholder stat here, but this basically is a prototype of my volley enchantment, which I wrote the text for, but it's still not dynamic. Launching the shard spawns 4 additional icicles that deal 40% of the main icicle's damage. And this includes all kind of limit bonuses. So now I just take that boolean, and basically now the game acts as if I have that. And now I can shoot volleys of icicles, with the center one being larger. And the smaller ones on the side deal less damage. What is this? It's getting worse every time. I'm so sorry. I don't know what that is. Like, I really try to fix it. Anyway, so that's my icicle thing. And this kind of stuff is what you can expect from enhancements. So some cool, really impactful bonuses and alterations to how spells work. So that's gonna be coming sometime soon. I don't know, the enhancement system. So stats and loot. Last video I said my goal was to make the items actually equipable and give you the stats that the item has on the item card, which is now fully working. And I'm just dreading to jump into play mode because of the lag, but I'll show you anyway. But alright, let's do this. So I opened some of these box things, and a ruined great sort of Zeldrene drops. Just random names, I don't know. So if you keep an eye out on my power on the side, if I equip this guy, I got the power. I got the cooldown on charge. Now it recharges way faster. And charge scales from power. So now it does more than 23 or whatever damage it used to do. My melee attacks also hit more, so yeah, power works. And if I go into my abilities, it also writes exactly how much damage it's going to do in green. It might not be green in the end, I don't know, but it's exactly for that long, so oh god, that's terrible. So anyway, that works correctly, but right now, as you maybe saw, when I'll just show it again. If I equip an item, it just disappears right now. So I take this, I equip it, I got its effects, I got a lot more powerful spells and all, but it disappeared. I take this, it disappears. So this kind of system, needless to say, kind of requires an inventory system, because this kind of game just demands that. So yes, I will have an inventory system. I'm planning to have one, and I'm worrying about, I'm wondering about the carry capacity, or how many slots. Will it be infinite? Can you swap items back and forth? Can you sell the items? What value will they provide once they're kind of obsolete? And so forth. So I'm thinking about these kind of things. Right now, I just want to have an inventory system where you can swap out items. and see the item cards there as well, so you see exactly what item gives what. So you could have multiple kind of builds. You can have a few set of items that go together and synergize, and for having some difficulties, or maybe just for some specific bosses, you can swap or just experiment around and keep the best one in the end. All kinds of stuff that action RPGs kind of involve. So yeah, that's the inventory system that's kind of gonna be needed. And well, levels and random generation is next thing I want to talk about. Basically, I don't have a level generation system yet. What I want to talk about here is how I'm planning to do it. So I wanted a tile-based map generator, which I write myself. But the thing is, I really wanted to make non-uniform tile sizes. So I would have a square grid, but my tiles could be a 2x4 long corridor, or a 5x5 boss arena, or these kind of things, And maybe I have like an S shape, like a cave, or an L shape, and I kind of don't want to waste a whole square bounding box on an L-shaped corridor, because inside that L shape could be another small room, these kind of things, and I'm thinking about it a lot. But that seems a little complicated, so I might just stick to a normal square uniform tiles to, again, stay in scope. And once I got that working and some more things, then I could jump back to that and maybe improve on the level generation system. But for now, I might just stick to square tiles. So next I want to talk about is how these levels are, how you play through them, how are they generated, when, and why. So I want the gameplay loop, besides the very basic one of kill, loot, salvage, whatever, and then explore again. And then fight mobs, kill, loot, explore, and so on. Basic action RPG stuff, but how will the levels work? How will the level loop be? Well, in my previous video, I think I said I want a boss, a final boss, that's like the target, that probably you can challenge after a set amount of levels, or you can challenge it any time, but you're gonna get killed, right? You need to do more dungeon runs, and basically get more items, more power, if you want to kill that boss. And kind of the challenge would come from how early can you kill the boss, how few runs can you do while still being able to kill the boss. What I might do instead, I was really thinking about this, is you could up the difficulty basically infinitely and see how long you can push it, but the items wouldn't scale infinitely. So it's not like you do a level 50 dungeon, you level up to 50, you get level 50 drops, and then you can do level 60 dungeons. So I would have a static item level and static player level, and your power would come from finding the best gear that really synergizes and almost exponentially throws up your power level, but not that extremely. I'm real careful with multiplicative bonuses because of that scaling of, it could be one item difference between doing 10 times the damage. That's pretty bad. And Diablo has that, right? And it's really a balancing challenge to kind of keep as many things, as many builds as you can viable. But it's really hard when numbers just go so crazy. So, I might have like 10 difficulty levels or something. Maybe those will go up infinitely, but you will stay static. Your power will come from these enhancements, these ability unlocks, these items you get and how they synergize. And basically you clear a level. Let's see, was that easy? I'll up the difficulty. I'll clear another level. And maybe see how high you can push it, how high you can clear a level and maybe kill a boss at the end of the level. Because maybe every level will have a boss. That's another thing I'm thinking about. So it's kind of like a skill check, power check, before you allowed to the next difficulty. So you can keep clearing X level difficulty content, and you got enough gear, you challenge X difficulty boss, you did it. you can go higher and see again how far you can push it, how difficult version of that boss you can kill. I don't know, it's something I'm gonna think about a lot more, but this last one with manually ramping difficulty and seeing how hard you can push it when you're ready to do it, I think that's the most likely right now, because I don't want the players to be punished by a statically set difficulty curve. Like, at this point, this is your 4th dungeon, here's a boss, you should be able to beat this. Oh, but I got unlucky, or I'm not that good at the game yet, and I'm just, like, I have the floor wiped with me, and I don't like it, and it's not fun. So here instead, you could, whenever you feel comfortable or ready, you can just up it yourself, and if you want to challenge yourself a lot, you can up it more. If you want to, kind of explore, keep it chill, you can just do one more clear on that level before challenging the boss, whatever. Anyway, I'm just rambling on about this because there's a lot of thoughts about this topic, and I'm really thinking about this a lot, but for now, this is the most likely structure I think I'll do with levels. Another thing about levels, but this is kind of a technical side, is if I use dynamically generated tiles, I cannot have baked static lighting, because where the tiles connect, there would be seams in different colors of light, maybe. A room with a red bonfire is next to a magical room with some cool blue flying lanterns, and in the doorway where the tiles connect, the red and the blue floor would touch and there would be an ugly seam, for example. So either I keep all the doorways pitch black, which I don't want to do, or I'm going to have to go to fully dynamic lighting. And I'm just going to see the performance implications of that. So that's another thing I'm going to look into of, okay, can I make fully dynamic lighting and shadows? How bad with performance? How should I optimize that? Shadow draw distance, or even just thinking about the 4 dynamic shadow limit is an interesting thing. And I think Unreal Engine has this where you can have only 4 dynamic shadows at any one place in the world. Like that, only 4 dynamic shadows that overlap. Like 4 shadow casting lights overlap, and that's the maximum because you can't have more shadow map channels. You took RGB and alpha, and you can't really have more. So I can't have more than 4 overlapping shadow casting lights. That's going to be a thing I'll look into, but I think I saw that on a previous project that popped up as a problem, and I got to keep that in mind. So that's for levels for now. So just general gameplay on top of what I talked about of what will be the game objective or the loop of clearing levels. Another gameplay thing I want to touch on here is the consequence of death. What will the player suffer if they die? And I'm not sure, because I don't want permadeath, that's for sure. I don't want permadeath, but then maybe you could just revive on the spot after like a delay, be invulnerable for a few seconds, but that kind of like, you get death abuse through anything. But if the mobs regenerate health when you die, it's like you might hit a brick wall and you can't progress because you just can't kill a mob, and it goes down to like health, and then you die every time. You revive, the boss regenerates, or the mob regenerates, and there you are again, slamming your head against a brick wall. So I was thinking about, okay, what should the player death be? I don't want repetitive death to be too punishing, and I don't want death to not matter at all either. So what I thought is I'll have a currency in the game, which just could be gold for simplicity's sake. It's a dungeon crawler, treasure hunter kind of game, so gold. You're after some gold. And you would lose maybe a percentage value of your total gold. And that way, if you keep dying and dying and dying, your loss will be diminishing returns as you have less and less money. That fixed percent of it is going to be less and less and less amount of gold. So you'll never like die twice and completely lose all your money. But also, if you have a lot of money and you're doing really good, that should have a higher penalty, right? It's kind of like pulling down the top end and not punishing as much the bottom end. So it kind of helps like streamline, on average, how much gold the player should have if they're playing like an average amount of deaths, like, you know, normal run. And of course, players who never die, well, they deserve to keep all the gold, but if they die once, they're really rich, so the tax is gonna be heavier on them. And what will I do with the gold? I was thinking not to have an item vendor, but maybe something like that would be a thing. So, but I was thinking about having random, basically guaranteed drop. So you could pay gold, probably not much gold, to have a guaranteed green item drop. Or you could pay a lot more gold to have a guaranteed blue item drop. Or you could pay a ton of gold and like you had to save up for so long for the entire game, so you kind of deserved that one purple. But you could get a guaranteed purple drop. Now you don't know which purple. Maybe you'll have some weight input, like which one you prefer to drop, but I don't know. For basics, for now, again, keep it simple. Maybe that's what I'll do with gold, and then you can lose some of that gold on that, so you don't want to die to lose the gold because you're saving up for that purple roll. That could be an incentive to play, you know, kind of smart and like engage yourself in the game's mechanics and kind of think about all these things. So yeah, gold might be the solution to two problems at once. So yeah, that's it for these kind of concepts and everything and what I worked on so far. So well, actually, I kind of didn't show these things, but just real quick, because these are like respawning loot orbs. Just in case anyone was wondering what the hell these white squares are. These are respawning loot crates or whatever. I don't want to say loot boxes. That's like a dirty word now. And I have this thing which clears all the junk, so you can kind of see what the hell drops. And I can equip stuff. So yeah, that's that. This way is nothing. It's just a bunch of boxes, 2 dummies, and that's it. This is still kind of the whole map. And yeah, this is all that I've been working on that's like important to show. There's a ton of code in the background, a lot of blueprints, but you know, it's kind of like too technical and nerdy and not really interesting anyway. So yeah, next steps. I want to be working on that basic health system that I mentioned, and maybe just quickly prototype player death. You know, maybe when you die, I will just automatically activate this item and reset your stats. And for now, that's the consequence. I just want to have a working player death scenario into the game. Besides that, I want to have a side-by-side item comparison. So you would see what you have equipped and next to it, what you're looking at in the world. So you can compare them in a quick glance. Every game, I think nowadays, have to have these. So again, that's a given. Items managed to see the equipped gear. Again, it's given for this kind of game. It needs to happen, so it's gonna be important. It's high on the priority list, so I'll be working on that as one of the next things that I'll be working on. And then a player stats menu, where you can see actually your stats all added together. How much health, how much regens you have, how much damage multipliers, or maybe what kind of spells, what kind of item bonuses, and all that stuff. So these are kind of what I want. And maybe that stats, we have like a gameplay statistics section, you know, with kill count, death count, or, you know, those kind of things. That kind of like tracks your overall like career statistics or whatever. So yeah, these are basically UI stuff for more clear readability of the game and what the hell is with your character, how much power you have, what's happening. Because loot and player power is like the core things in this game. So I want to first make sure that loot and player items and stats, player power, is clear to read. And then I'll do some extra abilities and then the enemy I showed you and all that kind of stuff. But for now, mostly item equipment and player death. So yeah, that's it. That's this developer commentary thing. So hey, thanks for watching through it. If you did, I don't know, kind of just doing this for myself to document, but also if anyone's like interested in, you know, how this game was made, maybe one day or something. So yeah, anyway, that's it for this video. I'll be back with another update, hopefully kind of soon. I'm gonna see how much time I have for this, but I'm putting a lot of time in this for now, so I'm progressing pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, I'll see everyone whenever I have the next video up. So until then.